Welcome, baseball fans, to this edition of State of MLB. This edition will be covering the World Series Game 2, Washington Nationals at Houston Astros. And the storyline of today's game is absolutely gotta be bullpen implosion. Up through until the 7th inning, we had a pitcher's duel that pitching fans would just drool over. You've got Steven Strasburg going toe-to-toe with Justin Verlander and matching him tit for tat, out for out, pitch for pitch, strikeout for strikeout. It was a beautiful thing, and you really didn't know how this was going to end up, but you knew this was going to go to the bullpen, and this could even go to extra innings depending on how well the bullpen did. In today's game, Game 2, you have Steven Strasburg going 114 pitches over 6 innings, a 3.0 ERA, 2 earned runs, and 7 strikeouts. Yes, Verlander was much more pitch efficient in this game, but fundamentally, Steven Strasburg went toe-to-toe and matched him tit for tat. It was a beautiful display of how a bend but don't break pitching performance really came through behind a very solid defensive performance. Plus, you got the run support going on there. In the first inning, Rendon doubles to bring in Turner and Eaton. A nice little small ball performance to bring in 2 runs to get the game going on just the right foot. On the other side of the mound here, you've got Justin Verlander going 107 pitches, 6 innings pitched, same as Steven Strasburg, but he gives up a 6 earned run. Now, he's tagged for more runs than he personally gave up, and I'll get into that in a moment. 4 earned runs, 6 strikeouts. The numbers on the earned runs and earned runs look better on Strasburg's face, but that has more to do with the fact that when he left in the 7th inning, he had runners on, which he's not the one who let them score, but he got tagged for it because he's the one who let the men on. So, with that said, remember Presley, how I was giving him a hard time during the Yankees series in the ALCS, and I was giving him a hard time before that. Fundamentally, Presley has earned in Hinch's mind the role of being the guy to come into a tight game, to come into late innings, get the hold, and hand it off to the next guy. And I kept on telling you how Presley was like, the Yankees were his kryptonite or his Achilles heel. Well, and I gave him credit for a couple of games where he came in there and was completely outright solid in the ALCS. Now, in the World Series here, they hand off the game to Presley after Suzuki has a leadoff home run in the 7th to sort of end Justin Verlander's night. And there's a couple runners on, which Verlander gets tagged for, but fundamentally those runners wouldn't have even scored if Presley hadn't just been the outright bullpen implosion that made nightmares for Astros fans. So, getting into the scoring here, as I mentioned, Rendon got the double in the first to get the scoring going 2-0. Then, to tie it up, Bregman, 2-run home run, bottom of the first. That would be the only scratching at Strasburg's record. But he ties it up 2-2, and it was all the way that way until the 7th inning when Suzuki, boom, home run. First, I don't think it was the first pitch, but definitely a leadoff home run off Verlander chasing from the game. From there, where they run into problems here is that A.J. Hinch has never issued an intentional walk the entire regular season. However, out of respect for Soto and how much damage he's done against his team in Game 1, issues his very first intentional walk. What happens from there? Kendrick singles, brings in a 4-2, racks up 4-2 score. Then Cabrera singles 6-2. Zimmerman singles 8-2. Now there's 6 runs scored in the 7th inning to take it from a 2-2 game to an 8-2 game by the end of the 7th inning. And while Presley's only dinged for 0.2 innings worth of the damage and 3 earned runs, James finally release him after so much of the damage done. But he also comes out of the game with runners on, and then James, which does finally, with 3 strikeouts, gets out of the inning there. He also allows a run to score with the damage already on the bases there. But fundamentally, the primary culprit of the 6-run implosion of the 7th inning falls on Presley's shoulders. He was just like, and here's the thing, I don't blame Presley 100% for the bullpen implosion. The reality of the matter is, the Astros allowed 6 runs to score in the 7th inning. They would never, ever have tolerated that in the ALDS, in the ALCS, in the World Series. He leaves him in there. I mean, it reminds me of the 1993 World Series when Wild Thing Mitch Williams blows consecutive leads to the Toronto Blue Jays win the World Series over the Philadelphia Phillies. But fundamentally, as bad and as horribly as Mitch Williams pitched, walking left after right, letting people just walk all the way around the bases and coming back home, the fundamental fault here has to lie with the manager. Just like the Phillies manager at the time left Williams in there so long that he gave the game away and gave the World Series away, in which Phillies fans were just so upset with Mitch Williams and the Phillies until the 8 World Series when they finally win a championship against Tampa Bay Rays. I digress. In this case, with Presley just getting battered up, beaten up, and the defense making all kinds of fielding errors and botches and missed throws and everything, at some point you gotta throw in the towel and stop the bleeding. When you are giving up 1, 2, 3 innings, runs, at what point do you take this guy out and say he just doesn't have it today? Well, Hintz lets him ride all the way to 6 freaking runs. Are you kidding me, Hinch? Seriously? That's how you're going to manage a bullpen when you are in dire need of sending this back to Washington tied 1-1. Yeah, it's in your grasp. I mean, the run from that Verlander gives up to Suzuki, you're down 3-2. I get it. Time to make a switching pitch. You got 107 pitches. Okay, Verlander's night is over. I get it. How many runs are you going to give up before you yank Presley out of that game? You're going to go, 4, 5, 6 runs? I mean, at that, 6, you're going to go to 4-2, 5-2, 6-2? I mean, you left them in way too long, Hinch. You really freaking did. Now, granted, the rest of the bullpen here comes in here and continues to give up a little bit. Not as bad. I mean, the Rendon, Dombrowski ends up giving over 2 1/3 innings pitched, 2 more earned runs, but James at least gets 3 strikeouts, and Rendon and Dombrowski gets 1 strikeout. I mean, at that point in time, the damage was already done, but you still got a solid performance out of the rest of your bullpen. As badly as Presley pitched in this game and blew the game wide open, massive bullpen implosion, I gotta throw the fault here on Hinch. You left the man in way too long, and you buried yourself so gosh darn deep. You had no fighting chance to get back into this game. Granted, a 5-2 score would have been asking a lot, but then you have faith in your hitters to try and etch in some runs, get some runs in here. Have Maldonado gets a home run in the ninth inning to bring up to 3-12. Now imagine if you had let the bleeding stop at like 3 or 4. Granted, 3-5 would have been a losing game, but it would have been at least held your head high, you stopped the bleeding, you just couldn't come back at that point. But at the same time, if you're only down 1 or 2 runs going into the 8th or 9th inning, your players feel they got a fighting chance, especially with the potent offense that they have in the Astros. But when you are leaving the 7th inning, you're down 8-2. Oh my God. I mean, how much do you really expect your club to compensate for? That's massive in the World Series, especially when your pitching performances from the Washington Nationals have been absolutely stellar. When Steven Strasburg comes out of the game, Rodney Rainey and Guerrero combined for 3 innings pitched, only giving up that 9th inning home run and get a strikeout. They took the Strasburg handoff and they held down the 4. They held the Astros off the scoreboard and got the job done to close it out for the Nationals and send it back to home to Washington, up 2-0. It was a phenomenal pitching performance by the Washington Nationals, and the lineup just dug in, ate it up, and feasted on Presley and the bullpen in this game. I give Washington Nationals a tremendous amount of credit because you did, both in Game 1 and in Game 2, you did everything you needed to do to take advantage of every opportunity to score, to hold the game where you had to hold it, and to feast off a bullpen that was just, between pitching performances and the defensive lapses, you seized the day and you took control of the game and you completely took the Astros right out of this one. Now you get to go home and face Zach Greinke against I keep saying Annabelle, but it's Bell Sanchez. I know I'm screwing up the first name pronunciation, but you get the idea. Sanchez for the Washington Nationals. Now Sanchez was absolutely phenomenal, much better than I thought it was going to be in the NLCS and the ALDS between the Dodgers and the St. Louis Cardinals. Zach Greinke has had his moments where he's been very solid, not exactly elite or amazing, but solid. You know, a quality start. You know, your 3 runs or less over 6 innings. He'll give you a decent start. Will he have enough in the tank on the road in Washington? Granted, he's going to National League ballpark, so he'll be one of the hitters here. And having played with the Dodgers and the Arizona Diamondbacks, he's a lot more accustomed to having to hit than Verlander would be. But even Cole from Pittsburgh Pirates can hit. So I mean, Cole's already been burned from Game 1. Having said that, with your options for a Game 3 start between Greinke, between a possible Peacock, between a possible Miley, Greinke is really the best bet for going on Game 3 to try and right this ship here. But at the same time, now Houston is so much in the hole and on the road. They need Greinke to save the day here, because if you go into Game 4 down 3-0, you're not getting back to Houston. You're just not. I mean, I will set a precedent. It's not completely impossible. The Boston Red Sox in 2004 showed that you can go into enemy territory, i.e. Yankee Stadium, after going down 3-0, win 2 at home, go on the road and win Game 6 and 7. In this case, it's entirely possible for the Astros to lose Game 3 and still find a way to win 4, 5, 6, and 7. Is it a tall order? Absolutely. Hence, the Red Sox of 2004 are the only team to ever do it in Major League Baseball. But is it possible? Yes. Never over till it's actually over. Having said that, you really don't want to put your team in a position like that, especially on the road. If Greinke can't save a day and get them a win in Game 3, I just don't see this getting back to Houston. And frankly, going up against Sanchez is a tall order for Greinke. I'm expecting a pitching duel. I really am. I think they both have the ability to go 6-7 innings, 2-3 runs or less, and turn us over the bullpen. But if that becomes the case, we know the Washington bullpen can hold face and bring one home. Can the Astros bullpen step it up, lock it down, and make something happen? Even if it's just a 1-run lead, it's still something. At this point in time, you're down 2-0 here. And as bad as it looks for the Astros, it ain't over yet. You're in a 2-0 hole. While most teams down that are go into a World Series up 2-0 do end up winning it, it's like maybe a 2/3 of the time kind of thing. Therefore, this is definitely an opportunity for if they don't go into Game 3, full speed ahead, full throttle on the gas pedal there, and they let the Astros get back into the game. That's on the Washington Nationals, and they got to take the hit for that one. Fundamentally, I did predict that it was going to go back to Washington 1-1, and it went back 2-1. So, I mean, at the same time, who would have predicted the implosion the Astros had in this game? I can't imagine anybody did. I did, however, predict the pitching duel. I would love to see a pitching duel between Greinke and Sanchez. I think it would be a beautiful game, especially with how everything has been going in the first 2 games, with which you have had very strong performances from the starting pitchers, and it kind of came down to getting that lucky hit or beating up on the bullpen here. We'll see what happens in Game 3. Let me know what you think about what I think in the comment section below. As always, if you just happen to be coming across this video on YouTube, please hit like and subscribe. I greatly appreciate all your support and love of this channel. And until next time, thank you for watching. Have a great day. I'm looking forward to Game 3 on Friday. See you next time.